Load moves before certainty forms, and the first decision is already closing behind it. Margins feel stable, yet tolerance begins shrinking long before anyone notices. Confidence often appears early, long before the system has earned it. What feels understood is usually where misalignment first takes root. Commitment rarely announces itself. It accumulates quietly until reversal is no longer available. By the time pressure is visible, outcome has already started hardening. Load enters fast, and the first constraint is temperature stability under continuous transfer. If flow hesitates here, every downstream window tightens before operators can correct. Storage is not waiting. It is pressure buffering with strict margins and limited reversal options. Throughput builds a quiet commitment, and small variance starts compounding immediately. Filtration begins as a control regime, not a cleanup step, because tolerance shrinks under speed. Delay multiplies downstream, and any drift becomes locked into the next transfer decision. Thermal conditioning compresses decision time because viscosity defines what the line can tolerate. Understanding separates operators from observers. Silence is where missed recognition multiplies. Polishing and degassing move the system from good enough toward repeatable, measurable output discipline. Continuous flow prevents reversal, and clarity becomes a gate that cannot be negotiated later. Container supply becomes its own constraint field where rhythm must match the liquid schedule exactly. When timing slips, correction windows collapse and the line pays the penalty in density. Formation and handling synchronize into a single control surface where spacing decisions propagate instantly. Scale amplifies consequence because every minor misalignment repeats thousands of times. Internal conditioning and lane control reduce uncertainty while speed keeps climbing. Precision compresses tolerance and the system stops forgiving small deviations. Approach to the primary fill zone narrows options because the next action commits the unit state. Throughput masks constraint buildup and then exposes it all at once. At the midpoint, boundary commitment begins. Volume control becomes the irreversible lock. Once this window opens, deviation converts directly into output and correction time disappears. Filling begins under full load and volume control becomes the first irreversible commitment. Every millisecond of delay multiplies across lanes and density, converts variance into permanent output. Measurement now operates inside shrinking tolerance bands that cannot expand once sealed. Scale amplifies consequence and flow continuity removes the option to reverse earlier assumptions. Closure systems assume that upstream decisions were correct because hesitation here cascades instantly. When torque or seal timing drifts, recovery costs accelerate beyond acceptable margins. Verification does not slow the line. It hardens it by rejecting what cannot be defended. Understanding separates operators from observers because silence often equals missed recognition. Thermal stabilization appears calm, yet margins compress as throughput sustains maximum rate. Precision masks constraint buildup until one deviation spreads across parallel streams. Identification and coding finalize responsibility, converting moving units into traceable commitments. Delay multiplies downstream and Tolerance windows collapse under sustained acceleration. Accumulation tightens formation, and density transforms minor timing shifts into visible consequence. Continuous flow prevents reversal, and decisions made minutes earlier become locked inventory. Final discharge compresses the system into decisive alignment, where no correction window remains. Throughput now owns the outcome, and commitment under scale becomes permanent. The line has reached its terminal state, and nothing further will alter what has been committed. Few recognize that the outcome was sealed long before the final unit aligned. Recognition separates operators from observers, and access to that distinction is never evenly distributed.